entrapment, because people come and they don't leave. So since I have come here, I'm really in the zone. One of the topics I know we want to discuss is how we get tracked and how the dark kind of tracks us, you know, once our light starts to shine. And I was heavily in that that cloud, let's say that dark cloud in the Pacific Northwest. I was dealing with a lot of karma. I was clearing out relationships, family lineage, karma, perhaps past life things. And there were fires in Portland about 6 weeks ago, really bad fires where everything just blew up and I was suffocating. And I just, on a whim, had a friend that needed a house sitter, and I said, I'm coming, and bought a one-way ticket, left all my stuff in Portland, and I just came out here. At the time, I never know what I'm doing when I'm guided, but now I understand kind of why I'm out here. This land is very resonant with me. So I've been doing a lot of grid work around this land as well. I've been able to travel quite a bit since I've been here in this last 6 weeks. And so now I'm looking to get more settled, so I can continue doing my work here.
Okay, so is there anything you would like to add to your introduction? And because I know that you're very gifted, and you're a galactic warrior, galactic sister, and you've got some amazing abilities. And I know that you're on a very high soul level. I know you do a lot of work behind the scenes and very quietly, and I know that you're just starting to come out of the spiritual closet, what I call the spiritual closet, and starting to do more in the public domain, in the public eye. So, and you're in, is it New Mexico you're in?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
go ahead. Sorry, Erin.
No, go ahead. I think you describe it better currently than I do, because I am behind the scenes. A lot of the stuff that I do is very much behind the scenes. I don't even understand it a lot of the time. So. Okay.
And I think that's the same for a lot of us. A lot of us haven't, actually Laura Eisenhower is coming to mind, where she, you know, was really being prepared for a lot of stuff for a number of years and didn't always understand why she was here or the process she was in. She didn't always understand everything in its entirety. You know, that's the way I've come to, well, I've heard her say that on interviews and stuff. So I think sometimes, you know, we don't know what's ahead. We don't know. I mean, I certainly didn't foresee 2020. Having said that, I did have, I think it was 2 dreams last year where, and I was with my partner at the time, and I said to him, I dreamt last night that we weren't allowed out. And he turned to me and he said, oh, don't be so silly, you know. So, and I thought at the time, I thought, yeah, you know, that is really, you know, who's gonna, you know, not allow us out. So, but that was very, in simple terms, you know, that was the dream, in just we weren't allowed out. So 2020 has been a crazy year, and but it's also a beautiful time because it's an amazing awakening, and I see there's a very positive outcome. How do you see the times we're in at the moment, and what would you like people to, what would you like to share about 2020? What is your insights, and do you feel that's the reason you're here? And that's kind of a few questions in one, but
Yes. So I was definitely prepped for 2020. My awakening was on a slow drip process from about 2014 through 16. I just did the trickling awakening. I started getting into tarot cards. I started feeling people's energies. I've always been very awoken to the undercurrent of what people are saying. I could always tell when somebody was lying. So I've always been able to tune into the truth frequency. I just didn't understand why, because I could see things that others didn't. And I didn't understand, like, let's say in high school, I didn't understand why 20 of my friend group thought that something was a good idea and everybody bought into it. And I had a different thought process. Like, why would we even do this? This, this doesn't make sense, or this isn't aligned. So I was always just kind of keeping my mouth shut. Like, why do I see things differently that the crowd, my entire crowd, does not even see? So that's always been interesting. But then I have done one video on YouTube, and it describes my awakening process. So then in 2000, so I was on a slow drip. In 2017, I thought I was going into a panic attack. I've never actually had one, but the energy within my body was so intense that I thought, wow, this is what this must feel like. So I went into the bathtub just to settle my body. And as soon as I kind of went under into meditation for an hour, I had visions and knowings coming to me that were just literally out of this world. I was shown my true form. I was shown myself in a pyramid. I was shown myself as a phoenix rising. And of course, in my asleep state, asleep as in the matrix asleep, I didn't understand what I was seeing. However, after that 1 hour, I was like, oh, this is my true form. This is my higher self. This is my multidimensional aspect. I understand why I see the things I do. Like, I just knew. I just had that knowing. It wasn't scary. It was like, oh, this is my real life. All of this other stuff that I've been doing is a play. I've been acting. This is a play. This is a program. This is real life. This multidimensional aspect is our actuality. So I woke up, but I was in an environment where nobody around me was awake. And I started channeling people. I started, it was just wild. I started channeling information like crazy. I couldn't stop channeling. I would just voice record everything that was coming through.
And was this in 2017?
That was 2017. And a lot of us woke up, a lot of people who are here for the 2020 mission. We actually had this spontaneous awakening in 2017, specifically because of the huge eclipse. So that huge eclipse that was seen in the States was in August. However, my awakening was in February, which was also an eclipse, but I believe it was like a new moon eclipse or something. So nothing that I would see, but yet the planetary aspect. So something with our avatars that I now understand because I get educated, or I remember, or I have the channel to access the information, is our avatars are just one big computer system. This is just a big CPU, and we're connected to the mainframe. And the planetary aspects correlate with our avatar codex. So I understand that at that specific planetary aspect, something was embedded in my avatar to wake up at that specific aspect. It's almost like when a gear, like gears in a clock, when the clock strikes 3, boom, whatever happens. That's what I've garnered basically so far has happened. So it was my time to wake up. I was embedded with a key, basically. And we all were, the ones who are here for this mission. This is mission-based. We are galactic. We are multidimensional. We have human suits that we wear. We came in through the Stargate. This is a galactic mission. We had to infiltrate Earth.
Hold on, Erin. Are you saying that we're all connected?
In which manner? What do you mean we're all connected? That's an interesting subject. That's an entirely, because I could, I don't buy into that wholeheartedly. I have some very strong opinions on that.
Okay, please share them. Please share from your heart.
I will. So, but let's put it, I'm going to write it down. So I have a notepad here so I don't forget anything. So the ones on this mission woke up in our avatar, in our humanness. We busted through the programming is basic. I'll just speak for myself. I know of others who have gone through this process, but I can only speak for myself because everyone is different. We can only operate off of our human perspectives. So this is my perspective based on what I have experienced as a human. So I woke up to the fact that I am multidimensional. I am very, very, very ancient. I woke up to the fact that I have multiple past lives that I can remember. I know who I am. And so to wake up into my little tiny human life, seeing what I saw, I was like, where am I and how did I get here? And I understand that. So I call myself an infiltrator, and there are a number of us infiltrators.
What do you mean by that? When you say you're an infiltrator, what do you mean by that?
So it's still unfolding, but what I will say, and I've written this in a number of my writings, because this is a secret mission that we're on. This is undercover, actually. So that's why I've been undercover for a long time, and that's why I don't disclose a lot of my information, or when I write, it's very encoded. I call myself an infiltrator because the dark ones, the controllers of this planet at this moment, didn't think we would come back. They didn't think we would come here for this. And
you mean the light workers?
Not all light workers. This is very specific. There's a very specific group that I'm a part of that are very ancient, very old, creator types. I understand Earth. I feel that I was a creator of Earth. This might sound, it's hard to say because I understand the implications when you speak these things, but this is my truth. So all I can speak to is my truth, and my truth has been hidden for a very long time. And now it's time to come out, because for this time. So when my avatar, when my clock, my codex activated, that actually began the descent. So we are all going through an ascension, or what we call the ascension. However, when you wake up as a multidimensional being in your human suit, you must go through the descension. And what that is the complete purging process of everything that this earth puts on a person. And this is where we can go into the dark stuff. But coming in, we're basically all implanted and tracked. And especially if we have the light within us, if we are source creator beings, we are heavily tracked. We are heavily oppressed in many, many different forms.
But just going back to the purging, so we need to, yeah. So I understand about the ascension, but the descension is about purging everything and letting go of everything and ascending or waking up to a new level, letting go of everything.
Yeah, I call it the defragging, because so when I woke up to my multidimensional self, how I perceive and speak things and this process is very technical. I have a background as a technical project manager. I've always been very technical, and it makes perfect sense because I honestly see this avatar as a computer. And that's why I use the words such as avatar, codex, you know, things like this. So I use very technical terms. So the purge is the defragging, which is a computer technology, you know, term. You have to go in and purge and defrag every program that has ever been embedded in you. Because what people don't understand is being on Earth, you are programmed. Okay, we have a culture. Okay. And so I woke up to everybody's programming. So I have these multidimensional eyes. So I can see higher realms. I can see this realm. I can see people as their true soul essence. I can see people in their alien form. Like I know where people are from, what galaxy or what, you know, planetary aspect, you know, they're embodying, or if they're channeling, I can be like, oh, that's Arcturian, or that's Pleiadian, or that's definitely Syrian. Like I can read those, and I can also read light language, and I can understand.
Sorry to interrupt you, Erin, but what do you get with me? I mean, you already know I'm Pleiadian, but do you pick up on that, or?
You're yes, you're Pleiadian, but you're also very high angelic, very high angelic.
That's nice to know.
Yeah, you look like a beautiful angel to me. Beautiful angel of the light.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, so going back to the programming, I, as a human, was under tremendous programming. And this is what I talk about in the first video that I put on YouTube in February. At my 3-year anniversary, I was guided to put it out. So it took me 3 years to purge all of my programming, which is all faulty belief systems, which was, I was a party drinker, let's say. And so I had to do a lot of work around my drinking habits and what behaviors came out of that. I, you know, came from not the best upbringing, and then I married into kind of that same archetype, that same program, because that was embedded in my avatar. So it's the narcissist, abusive, alcoholic type, you know, all of these programs, all of these negative alien agenda programs that are embedded in people, not in all, but in some people, were embedded in me. So I had to start taking 100% responsibility for my own programming. Now, I was not responsible for the programming being embedded in me. And that's what most people don't understand, is we're programmed with these negative belief systems or patterns or habits, and or they are in our lineage, because once they're embedded in DNA, it just continues down the line. So what I was doing, and what most light workers are here to do, is to heal our family lineage, is to recognize what's embedded in our DNA and completely defrag it, tear it apart and heal it. And the way you do that is simply recognizing it. So for instance, when I was married, I would consider, I'm not going to say he was, but I would consider my ex to be an alcoholic at a time, during a time. And so, but I had my own issues with alcohol. I was a party drinker. So I was the one, in my eyes, who didn't have a problem, because I only drank every now and again, or at a party or whatever, you know, where maybe his was more steady. So my programming during my marriage and during my tumultuous divorce was pointing the finger at him, saying, well, he's the one with the problem. He's the one. And so when I woke up and I had to take full responsibility for all my own stuff, I was like, oh, I'm the one with the problem. And I'm the one who consented to this relationship. My programming, my self-loathing programming, consented to his loathing of me and this relationship. And people don't understand that. They don't understand what love, the frequency of love, truly is. Love is not romantic. Love isn't like, oh, he makes me feel so good, he's so great. we are completely upside down and backwards down here as far as our belief systems and what is true and real and good. And so I woke up to the truth of the purity of that frequency of love. And once you feel that and you embody it, so it took me 3 years to embody the self-love, because we cannot ascend out or help anyone else around us until we are completely purified vessels. So defrag everything. We have that intense self-love, that frequency of love, and then we are able to output it in every situation. Because if we still have triggers, you know, if my ex-husband called me and was like, oh, blah, blah, blah about the children or whatever, where before that would send me over the edge because he was such a big trigger. Now it's like, okay, great, let's have a conversation. You're you, I'm me. You know, I've worked through all of that. There's nothing that he could now say or do that would trigger me, because I have worked through all of that on my own. Now, granted, he might still be running his own program and trying to trigger me in ways, but once we each do our own work, it becomes obsolete. And that's what we're doing. This is the migration out of the matrix, is you have to completely defrag all of these faulty belief systems that you've subscribed to, that people have put on you, that people have told you about yourself. You have to know the God within and without, you know, the God of all, understand that love frequency and love yourself above all. Because if we are at a lowered state and we're operating on triggers or emotional traumas, we cannot be in service to others until we are healed.
Yeah.
And so that's why I was really behind the scenes for a long time, even though, I mean, I have, you know, 4+ years, let's say now, of channels, because the channels were actually coming in before I had my big awakening. I just didn't understand what they were. I didn't understand I was accessing like a higher dimension because I was still asleep at that time. I thought, wow, my automatic writing's going really well. I'm really bringing through these like incredible concepts, but I just thought it was me, but it's not. It's through me of a higher consciousness. So anyway, I've got, you know, all of these years of channels that I've been wanting to put out to people because they're very educational. However,
I just want to intervene there. So
yeah.
Just going back to your husband, is he awake at all?
No, so he is my ex-husband. We divorced officially in 2012. He is not awake at all. Yeah, and
Okay.
he has mellowed out. I will say we have a much better relationship than we ever had, because it was just a lot of trauma, a lot of drama, a lot of programming playing out, a lot of addiction behavior playing out. You know, my demons that were within me, even though I was of the light, I was still riddled with demons, which are these programs that embed. It's the false, it's like the false talking, you know, those, what am I trying to say? Like the thought patterns.
Yeah, the inner voice.
Yeah, those inner voices that anything that is in your head that is telling you negative stuff, that's a program. That is not organic. So I also use the terms organic and inorganic. And I use that for humans too. There are organic humans and there are inorganic humans.
That's interesting. Let's get to that in a bit later on. But
this is so juicy. There's so much.
Okay, I know. So who do you channel? Because I know that you are a channel. Is that right?
Yes.
No.
So I am a channel, but I'm also the source. So I channel self because I'm so old. I channel my ancient self. I also work with other beings. The Arcturians are the main extraterrestrials that I have worked with throughout my awakening. And they are master healers. They are project managing this Ascension project. So it's so interesting that my 3D life mirrors my multidimensional life, because I was a project manager managing technical projects. And my higher aspect is basically also facilitating that within this human avatar. So my higher self. So I channel, well, I don't channel per se. I bring down information. I sit on many different councils on the other side. I'm on the Council of Mu, which is a Lumerian council. I'm on the Syrian High Council. So my aspect or aspects are, I'm bridged at all times. This avatar is here and grounded and rooted into earth, but I have so many channels going out to my different aspects. So that's why I say I'm a channel, but I'm also the source, because it's not outside of me. I will say the only time I feel that it's outside of me is when the Arcturians come to me and they say, we're going to do an upgrade, because our physical avatars need rewiring. We need upgrading. We need implants removed from different parts of our bodies. Our avatars are riddled with reversals. These avatars were created perfectly. We are a perfect piece of technology. But what happened when the density is lowered is that things within our avatar that are embedded, these are energetic imprints. This isn't like flesh, bone, you know, our organs. We're talking about there's energetic outside of our chakra system. Okay, we have our chakra system. They've also, I mean, I understand that there's chakras within chakras within chakras. The chakra system that I understand, I've actually never ever seen in a book, because I've been educated multidimensionally. So anything that I know, the knowledge I bring forth is not because I have read it somewhere. It was because I was asleep. I had no interest in this kind of knowledge ever. I couldn't even intake it because I was so asleep. And then I was awake the next minute and it just went whoop. So I can access.
Sorry, Erin, that must have been quite a lot to, it must have been overwhelming for you. It must have been a lot to take in, a lot to process, a lot to absorb, a lot to process and understand and ground into your body, and a lot to, like, that's a big thing.
Oh, it was huge. And how they were prepping me for this about a year before. So 2016, my body started undergoing massive changes. I was overweight because I was living a life that I wasn't happy with. I was drinking a lot. I was eating a lot of bad food. I was so deeply miserable, but yet putting on that facade that so many people do, that like everything's fine, because like I was so deeply miserable on a soul level. It was so deep, I couldn't even access it. I didn't even know how to access it. So my body started to purge about a year before I went through this awakening process. I had no appetite. I lost a ton of weight. All I wanted to eat was hummus. It was very strange. I just wanted like Greek food out of nowhere. And I just wanted like real pure foods. I had stopped drinking. You know, I had to address that. I'd slowly stopped drinking before, but then when I really addressed it was after I woke up. So anyway, the physiological changes that were taking place in my body were out of this world. Oh, and I also, things were purging out of my system. So I got out of nowhere. I mean, my first time in my life, I had really bad acne. And I've never had acne. I didn't even have an acne problem in high school. So, and we're talking like really big explosions. Like I had one on the side of my forehead that actually turned into an abscess and I had to get it medically looked at. I mean, that's how bad my body was purging out toxins, purging out, I mean, whatever it purges. And so I went through that for about, is probably a good 2 years, 1 year before the awakening and then about 1 year after. So not only was I dealing with mind changes and expansion, like grandiose expansion out of nowhere, I was also dealing with a lot of body changes. And then at that time, because I was transitioning from one world to the next, you know, I was fired from a job and I didn't have any money and I couldn't keep a place to rent, and, you know, all these money challenges that come with the awakener. Because what happens is we are leaving this structural system, if we want to call it a matrix. You know, I was on my way out of the matrix, but my mind couldn't grasp that. So to me, it looked like, why don't I fit in? Why don't I have money? Why don't I have a, you know, career like everybody else, and why can't I just get on this train that everybody else is on and fit in, you know, because
and be like everyone else.
yeah. And, you know, I had already lived that life. I mean, I had lived that life for a long time. I was in my box. I was in the matrix bubble. I did everything I was supposed to do. I got married. I had kids. I had the house and the cars and the vacations. I did all that. I had the career. But then when I started
What did you used to do?
Well, I was in the high-tech industry. So I was doing a lot of high-tech startup stuff when I first moved to Seattle, and then I made my way to be a project manager. So I was doing very highly technical work. I was traveling a lot, you know, and I thought I had kind of made it. I thought, wow, this is the pinnacle of my career. I'm really moving up, and I'm really making the contacts, and I'm making the most money that I've ever made. And, you know, I was really feeling like I was mastering the hustle. Like, yes, I'm mastering this matrix hustle finally. And then I started to wake up, you know, I started to have these energy things, and I'm like, and I started to sit in these corporate meetings, and I'm like, these people are full of, can I swear on this show?
Yeah, please do. I don't like to censor or
okay.
any of that. So
Okay. Yeah. So I was like, these people are full of shit. You know, I've got my VP sitting in these meetings with me, and I'm watching him lie through his teeth. And I'm like, wait a second, what is going on here? What is the structure that I'm in? Like, it just, I started to turn right side up in a world that is upside down. But, you know, when you do that, we are the ones that are upside down. We're the ones that don't make sense because everybody's just used to this world. But this world is so upside down. So my reality was getting flipped, and I couldn't understand anything going on in front of me anymore. I was like, this job sucks. I hate what I'm doing. I'm not part of this hustle. You know, what is even going on here? I was just watching everybody running their programs, and I'm like, these people aren't even real. They're not even like speaking from their heart space. They're just like in their programs, you know, in this corporate program. And so needless to say, I got laid off, you know, because I was not fitting in. So part of my descension was also, and when you get out of the matrix, I mean, when you leave the matrix, you leave all those systems behind, and they kick you out once they get you know, a sniff of the light. They'll do everything in their power, the dark ones, the handlers, to the inorganics, the clones, to make sure that you don't succeed on your mission, you know, on this galactic mission.
I'm sorry to interrupt, Erin. Can you just explain, because a lot of people are not going to know what you mean by a handler. So can you just explain that?
Sure. So in my personal opinion, that's it, in my perspective, we have organic and inorganics. And Dolores Cannon, for anyone familiar with her, called them, I believe, the backdrop people. So, and I personally call them the clones. So I call it the Clone Wars, because actually when I woke up, one of the first things they said to me to give me a perspective, they said, you are living in Star Wars, but it's not a war with weapons. It's a war for your soul. Now in 2017, that didn't make any sense to me. In 2020, that's pretty clear. So I was just simply being prepared for what's coming this year. And I needed 3 years to go through the dissension and the purging process to get where I am now. So a handler is anyone around you who is subjected to programming, mind control. So here's the tricky part. Anyone who has not gone through the purging and purification process is subject to mind control. And we are watching this play out on the hugest grand scale at these times. I understood this when I woke up, but nobody else understood this around me. So I was in my friend group watching people play out their programs, and especially I was in the music industry. After I got out of technology, I went into the music industry because music is my Music to me is life. Music, the frequency of music and live music helps me channel. It helps me get into that multidimensional space, because everything is frequency. And that's what we're not taught down here. Everything is frequency. So for me to access and bridge a higher dimensional aspect, I would go to shows all the time. And then when I was at shows, I would be on my phone, on my notes app, because I would just channel, because the frequency of live music just opened me wide up. So I would be up front, you know, at my concerts, and then I would have to step back and go out, and I would just be like channeling, just writing information, just pages and pages. It was wild.
And did you know where the channeling was coming from, or
no.
Okay.
No, I had no idea. Yeah. And sorry, I know there's so many topics and we're jumping around. I'm going to write down handler so we can go back to that. But in the very beginning, actually, before I had my huge zap of awakening, Metatron came to me. And I don't really want to, so also this process, or at least for me, I have been through a series of initiations and a series of, how do I describe it? It's like symbols. There are symbols and symbolism in the meditation process that take you from one level to the next. It's the proverbial or biblical Jacob's ladder. It's Hermetic knowledge, it's mystery school. I didn't know this is what I was going through at the time, but I know now. So Metatron came to me he was the first deity that ever came to me. Actually, Jesus did, but I was like, Jesus, I don't believe in you. You know, the Bible's a racket. I don't believe in Jesus. You know, I kind of renounced everything, but then actually Jesus and it's not the Jesus of the Bible. I want to be very clear.
So when did Jesus come to you?
I would say in about maybe 16, 17, because I was talking. So in 2015, I met a woman who I call my dragon mother, because as I was awakening, she was already deep in this path, and her channelings and writings helped to wake me up. And so I did a lot of work with her. That's why I call her my dragon mother, because she actually helped to wake me up. But her and I would talk a lot about Jesus. She's like, you know, we both were like, because we didn't buy into the Bible, you know, we didn't buy into conventional religion, because I see the manipulation behind it. I see the oppression behind it. But there were different things. I actually got numbers in my head. I was actually getting signs and symbols really readily. That actually led me to Jesus. It led me to, I heard a number in my head, and then I turned around and it was the same number on the microwave. And I'm like, what is happening? And this is before I woke up. You know, I was slow dripping. So this multidimensional aspect, I hadn't bridged that yet. So I was like, whoa, this is weird. But that led me to Bible verses, which led me to kind of this relationship with Jesus, but I kept him at an arm's length, because I'm like, I don't know what's going on here. You know, is this for real? Am I for real? Are you for real? I don't get it. But then, so he was just always in the background. And that's the Jesus of the Essenes. That is the Jesus who has studied the mystery school, the ancient texts with the Essenes. I want to be very clear with people. This is not biblical Jesus. Jesus is very different than from what the religions tell us Jesus is. So, but then Metatron came to me, and he initiated.
Just before you go on to Metatron, I just wanted to mention, because I don't think you know this about me, but I had a very traumatic childhood, and a lot of abuse, a lot of poverty, rape, alcoholic mother, you name it, I had it. And I got to the age of 12 and I just wanted out. I didn't want to be here. I was done. And it wasn't a cry for help or any of that. I took myself off to my room, and I was on the verge of, I was 5 minutes away from taking tablets and leaving, because I was done. I was done. I was so done. And I was sobbing my heart out. And I lay down on my mattress. I didn't even have a bed. I lay down on my mattress which I was actually okay with. You know, I didn't actually want a bed. I couldn't have had one if I wanted, but I was happy with the mattress. And I even today, I actually still sleep on the floor. I've always preferred it. I don't like sleeping high up because I feel disconnected from the earth.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I lay down on my mattress, and I left my body, and I was in the right hand corner of the ceiling looking down on myself. And Jesus came to me. Now, when I left, I was distraught. I was really distraught. And Jesus came to me, and this lasted for like 3 or 4 hours, and he took me on a very long journey. And I won't go into it here because I don't need to, but when I came back, I was blissful for about 3 or 4 weeks, and then it gradually ebbed away.
Yeah.
And the reason I'm mentioning it is because you were talking about Jesus and Jesus of the assigns. And I've also come to believe totally believe in my heart that Jesus was Pleiadian.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus was Pleiadian. Given my connection to the Pleiadians and me channeling them now through direct voice channeling, which people say is the highest form of channeling, I just feel very blessed to be able to do that. But it's taken me a long time. I mean, I consciously started to channel them in 2009/2010. And it was only this year that it was during a live interview where I actually started to, normally they're next to me. And they told me to close my eyes, so I did. And this is a live interview, and I wasn't expecting it. And they stepped into me and started to speak through my voice. And I was like, oh, okay, this is new. Haven't been here before. Let's see what this is like. So, but I find it really beautiful and very humbling, and I feel very honored and very humbled and very gifted to be able to do that they allow me to do it, you know. So for me, it's just an amazing experience. But I've now started doing readings where I channel them for people, not to do with the bigger picture, but to do with the person.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of getting sidetracked there. Sorry, Erin.
I love that story. I love that. I resonate with that so much. And I want to just say something. It's very interesting that you said Jesus was in the right-hand corner of the room, because when I would access specific deities, they came in at specific points of my consciousness. And I would always say, okay, Metatron, let me just think about this because it's been a while. I believe Metatron was on my bottom right, and I believe Jesus was always on my upper right. So it's very interesting that you say that. In fact, I just did a healing session with a fellow galactic that I met here in Santa Fe, and I never know what's going to come through. And Jesus came through, and it was so powerful to be in the presence of a deity. Is nothing of this earth. It's so humbling. I want to fall to my knees and just cry, because the energy that the deities bring in is that infinite abyss of perfect love and harmony. It is nothing we can access here on earth. You know, this romantic love, or I love my mate so much, this has nothing on what the true frequency of love is in the galactic realms. The closest I would liken it to is the mother's love for a child. You know, that intense bond, that intense, like you would just do anything for your children. That's the closest we get here, but that doesn't even touch it. And so when Jesus came in, when I did this,
I would say it's that multiplied by 100.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. It's so magical that you will never be the same once you experience it, because you come back to earth and you're like, oh my God, this place is dead. You know, it feels, I generalize, obviously there's a lot of pieces of earth that are great and magical and beautiful, but humanity, where we are at in humanity in general is flatlined. Flatlined. People, anyway, that's all. I'm not even going to go down there right now. But that being said, Jesus came to me in the upper right. So I find that so fascinating that that's how you access him too. And that's what I find is these deities, they have a specific energetic imprint as well. That's how you know that it's them, but they also come in a specific like point. And you know, everything is sacred geometry. Everything is geometry. So I'm certain that has to do with some wonderful, beautiful, you know, geometric pattern that is the essence of Jesus that, you know, is coming to earth, or however this is translating. So anyway, I think that's very fascinating. And I think your story is very fascinating too. And I think that is the plight of the light worker. You know, we came into very, very difficult, sometimes desolate situations, scenarios, so that we could clear that out of earth, out of the lineage, out of the DNA, out of the human. I call us the cleanup crew. We are the boots on the ground clean up crew.
That's a really good name for it, the cleanup crew. I really like that. And often we get called the black sheep, and you know, we're the oddballs, we're the ones on the outside looking in, and we're the oddballs, we're the odd ones, you know, we're the quiet kid at the back of the class, or the stupid kid at the back of the class. And nothing could be further from the truth. And we always feel like we don't fit in, because we don't fit in. We don't come from here. You know, our whole history has been, we've been lied to on a mass scale, our history, our science, our, you know, the ancient people, you know, everything we've been taught is a lie.
Everything. Literally everything. That's what people don't understand. And people still want to buy into the political environment and da 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 da. It's like, it's all a game of the matrix. We are leaving the matrix. That's why I don't participate. You know, people don't have this sight yet. I feel like I have a bird's eye view. I'm off earth looking in, and I'm watching all the players of the game.
I feel exactly
that is, yeah, and that's the sight that I think, you know, this grand awakening right now, that's what people are going to start seeing. You know, and they're going to start recognizing the falsities and the lies, because it's a frequency. So I can recognize the frequency of truth, as we, you know, people like us can. And anything other than the truth to me is like static. I call it poltergeist. It's like when Carol Ann's at the TV and it's just static, and she's like, they're back, or they're here, whatever she says. That's what I think of the people in the program, the clones, the ones who subscribe to lies, the ones who regurgitate the lies. And that's just people's programming, you know. So I have a hard time going back into reality now, because I'm like, I'm just bombarded with frequency, you know, and it's the frequency of static. So it like hurts my ears. It's like, you know, a loud pitch sound to a dog. It's like, oh my God, I can't even look at you. I can't even listen to you, because what you are saying is just like, you know, the frequency is so intense right now. It's like, no, thank you. I'll stay in my bubble with my people, my people in the stars.
I know, I'm just totally the same. And I think one thing that really that allowed me to channel the Pleiadians, and I know this, I know it's true, was, so the thing that really set me apart and allowed me to channel the Pleiadians was that they actually stopped me from going to secondary school when I was 12. So I used to make the journey, and it was a long journey. It was an hour in London by bus. So I, you know, a couple of times I did go. I got up, I went and had a bath, did my hair, did makeup, you know, put my school uniform on, got my bus pass, blah, 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 and took the hour journey. And I think it was 2 buses I had to take. And I got there, and on this particular day, they used to have huge black gates. And this was Skinner's school in Skinner's secondary school, girls' school in Islington. Because they had two schools. There was one in Dalston, and then there was one in Islington. And I got to the school gates, and I just stood there, and I was held in this vortex of energy, and I just couldn't move. And anyone looking at me would have thought, what the fuck is she doing? But I was somewhere else, and I was having this conversation with them.
Oh, wow.
That felt to me like it lasted 2 or 3 minutes, but I was stood there for about 45 minutes. So there was a time zoo. And I'd forgotten for years, I always remembered standing there and looking at the school gates. But when I because when I started doing the shamanic courses in Ireland, and I'd already started to channel the Pleiadians by then. But then I did shamanic courses in Ireland, and I began to remember missing memories, lost memories as a child of having connected to them as a child, connecting to the Pleiadians. And then during shamanic journeying, as part of the course, I began to have past life memories. And I had this big awakening where I had this one journey where I was shown very clearly that that's where I come from. So that's how I know I'm so centered in truth and knowing that that's where I come from. I know where I come from. So I'm very grateful for that, you know. So going back to the schooling, I think that's really what kept me from being programmed. I was never part of the secondary school education. You know, I went for maybe 2 weeks in total for my whole of my secondary, and that was an odd day here and there.
Wow.
Yeah. So anyway, Erin, sorry, I just wanted to share.
That's actually a big blessing, because so much of the indoctrination and programming happens within school. And, you know, it's so interesting how we are born purified, innocent baby beings. And they actually, when in my hour channel, when I woke up, they actually addressed this. They told me we have until 2nd grade or 8 years old until we're indoctrinated into the matrix. So you being out of school was actually a huge advantage to you, because you didn't get into all the indoctrination and into all the programming. And, you know, I don't understand this fully, but there's so much bullying and there's so much meanness within children at schools. And I don't even understand that, because literally a couple years earlier were these purified, innocent beings. And now we're at school being assholes to other kids, or vice versa.
I'm sorry to keep interrupting you, and it's just, I feel such a connection with you. I just want
I know, we could literally talk all day.
I know. But I'll just say this and then I'll shut up. I think that is deliberate. I think the bullying is part of the school program.
Yes.
And I don't think bullying will ever stop in schools. And I'm noticing more and more that it's really become apparent now that I've known for years, you know, since I really started to channel the Pleiadians in 2009, 2010, that I was shown every system on Earth at the highest level is run by negative ET energy.
That is
or
correct.
The cabal or the black cats, whatever you want to call it, it's negative ET energy. And that includes the school systems. And bullying is part of that. Bullying is an intrinsic part of the school system.
It's the beginning of the separation, to separate us, right? You know, you've got the cool kids and you've got the nerdy kids, and you know, and then you got the ones who are bullying. And now I believe those bullying programs are just simply coming from their DNA, coming from their lineage. Like if they're having abusive parents at home, you know, then they come with an inflated ego, and then they have to, that's a parasite. So that parasite is embedded in them, and those parasites have to feed. And the way they feed is that they do that to other people. That's how these parasites, these belief systems, these whatever you want to call it, that's how they procreate. You know, the narcissist is such a good example and so typical. Why are there so many people that can fit in the narcissist category out of nowhere? I mean, not out of nowhere, but you know, all of a sudden everybody's a narcissist. It's a program. That is a program. That is an egotistical program that is embedded, especially in our men. And our men are so programmed, and there's a lot of reversals in their avatar. I journeyed, I kind of channeled and journeyed with a friend who had the same resonance, and he was a man. And when I'm near the same frequency resonance as myself, I'm able to channel and journey and understand a lot of things. But what was a benefit to him is I was able to see in his avatar the reversals that have been put in his body to make him egotistical, to keep him in the matrix, to keep him away from his heart space. So he's not operating out of his heart space, he's operating out of his mind. Well, I can't, I just can't figure that out. And, I can't believe you because my mind, science doesn't connect the dots for me. It's like, well, what does your heart tell you? Because your heart is actually going to tell you the actual resonance, right? That's where people in the matrix are like, well, I don't believe it if I can't see it. And if his science doesn't deem that AB equals C, that's why information is so crazed, because people aren't tuning into the frequency and the truth of it. They want to use their mind and their ego to wrap around it. Anyway, so I was able to see the different reversals that are in our men that actually keep our men in their programming, and there's reversals in their avatar. So it's more insidious than we could ever imagine, and it is Star Wars. We are dealing with extraterrestrial entities. We are all extraterrestrials. That's what people don't realize on Earth. We're a planetary body. There are bajillion of planetary bodies. There are millions of different types of beings. There are different realms, there's different dimensions, and different beings live in different dimensions. Anyway, it just goes on and on and on.
Yeah, I know. And I actually feel really sorry for people that are waking up now, because they've got 5 minutes to do it and they need to wake up now. And come on, there's no time. I mean, there's no time. There's no time. I've had a long time. I mean, I had my experiences when I was 12, so yeah. I've had a long time to process stuff. And I've been channeling the Pleiadians now since 2009/2010. So it's over 10 years consciously. So I've had time to process and download and integrate and ground and understand and learn and experience and grow and upgrade and all of this stuff that I feel we need to do in order to anchor in this time that we're in now. And I feel so sorry for so much empathy for the people that are waking up now. They've got 5 minutes to do it, because I don't know if I would have been able to hold that energy. It was very drawn out for me. I don't know if I'd be able to hold it in 5 minutes that they've got to wake up. And I think that we are going to be, I really feel that we are going to be the teachers of tomorrow. I think I said that to you before.
You did, yeah. We are the teachers of tomorrow. Yeah, for sure. Because a lot of the teachers of today, I'm just going to say it, they don't hold a frequency of purity. They have not gone through the purification process. Oh, and this is another thing I want to say.
All of them or some of them?
A lot of them.
Okay.
We can go more into it, but I do want to make this point, or say this, that descension process. Okay, I woke up, but then I had to descend. What that is a purging and a purifying of your system, because we are so full of density, whether it's the food we drink, the air we breathe, the water, there's so many things that are poisonous and dense in our bodies in order to bring down the light and bring down our multidimensional aspect, all of that, we have to make room in these avatars. That's the dissension, that's the purge. So in order to descend our higher selves and merge our lower and higher, essentially, we've got to clean out this avatar so that there's room for it. So anyone who's waking up now, I had 3+ years to do that. You know, that's why. So people waking up now are on a completely different trajectory, and I don't even know what that's going to, well, I have an idea what that's going to look like, but I think they're going to, I feel that programming will be wiped through a potential flash of some sort. So I've had a very specific vision. Only very few people that I know of have had the same vision. And it's part of my team, this secret mission team. And I'm not ready to disclose, but there, you know, Amanda Lawrence talks a lot about it. There are people that understand maybe what's coming. And so humanity is actually going to get assistance and I don't want to say interference, but we can't do this fully from the inside out. I'll just say that. This is a huge mission.
Sorry, I'll just unmute myself there. So do you feel that, are you saying that, because I've been told by the Pleiadians since February, sorry, that there's going to be mass sightings of UFOs around the Earth that will not be shown on the media. And that's happened. And I was also told it's very probable that there will be a genuine landing at some point, a genuine landing, not a fake landing. So is that what you mean?
Yes, it will look a little different as far as what I have seen. Yeah, I'm trying to think of the best way to say it. Yes, there will be galactic intervention. Let's just say it that way. Yeah. I don't have time frames. It's all that's another thing is I'm privy to a lot of information, but I'm not privy to it consciously all the time. You know, I'm still operating as a human here and I can access higher, but there's even some information I'm not privy to. I had a very specific vision in February and July are always hotbeds of galactic information pouring into me because it's specific planetary aspects. There's a lot of eclipses happening. So that's when the information can then come down or it aligns or whatever that process is. So it was July of 18 or 19, I had they showed me what was coming, and I haven't really heard people talk about it. Some people do here and there, but it's not anything that people, society, the masses even in our community are talking about. I see things very, very differently than even the people in our community. So
okay, well, I'm going to take a break, but for about 7 minutes, and I'm going to play a song by Elijah Ray called New Earth, and I have permission from him. So let's take a break and let's pick up where we left off, if that's okay with you, Erin.
Yep. Thank you. Yep, sounds good.
Okay. and we are back. What do you think of that piece of music?
It was beautiful. I loved it.
Could you hear it okay?
I could, yeah.
Yeah, I really, because when COVID first kicked off, I used to suffer from anxiety years ago. And I started to get quite a bit of anxiety because I was watching a lot of the news at the time. And I found that really helped to calm me down. I've since actually, I wanted to keep my TV downstairs, but I didn't. I took it down and I left.
See, when I'm not going to say the word because I don't want any censors popping up, but when that situation came to pass about March, April, I knew that with the first SHUT down, I don't even want to say those words because I don't buy into it. When we feed energy into it, we feed that beast. I don't feed that beast. But I knew that was the kickoff. I knew that that was the beginning of the end. I knew exactly what was happening when they shut everything down. And then the thing with the muzzle. I know exactly the ancient ritual that is. I know what the dark ones are doing. I know exactly what's happening. So for me, that's when actually everything is just so auspicious. Everything is perfect. Everything is perfect all the time, even the suffering, because the suffering leads to the breakthroughs. But the 3 years of me prepping, in February was my 3-year anniversary. On the day of my anniversary of awakening, February 10th, the Dark Goddess Collective came to me. That's another collective I belong to, is the Dark Goddess Collective, which is Kali, Sekhmet, Pele, Isis, Oset. Any of the mother archetypes are actually dark goddesses. And the only reason they're called dark goddesses, go ahead, do you have a question?
Well, I was going to ask you because why are they called the dark goddesses? And are they of the light or are they dark? Why are they called dark goddesses?
They're dark goddesses because they work in the dark. So I'm just going to say we, because, no, they are of the light. But here's the thing that we have to understand. They work in the dark, which means the shadows. They are of the highest truth. They're of the highest truth, period. Because love, the highest form of love is truth. So they will burn anything down that is not of truth. That is why they're the dark goddesses. They take no prisoners. If you are not of truth, if you are a frequency operating outside of truth, they will incinerate you. It is called incineration, purification. It is the volcano. That's what volcanoes do. Volcanoes create life and ground, and they also incinerate life and ground. And that is ultimately what the mother goddess aspect will do, because she loves her children so much. She loves humanity. She loves Earth so much that anything outside of the purity, anything that is here to degrade it, will get incinerated. So it's a purification process. Huh?
Are they of the light?
Of course they are.
Okay.
They're of truth. They're of truth and love. But let me tell you something. That isn't always pretty. That isn't always pretty. They will burn anyone's shit down who's out of order. With no, they won't even think about it. Like, and that's how I operate with a lot of things, like with a lot of my writings. I say the F word, and I'll say, I'll see you in hell. And, I use these like dark words. And it's because if you are not of truth, light, love, and purity, you are donezo. Your programs are going to be incinerated. Everything's going to be incinerated. And that's basically what we're doing here in the Matrix as well, is we are dismantling their entire bullshit system that they have built out of reversals and out of lies.
Yeah.
because a reversal of the truth is a lie. It's the upside down. People don't realize we live in the upside down.
Yeah, and we're living in the reverse of everything of the way it's meant to be. Like the earth was reversed. The earth was knocked off its axis at the time, around the time of Atlantis, when a large meteor hit the earth, and the earth shifted off its axis. And our DNA was changed, dumbed down, and manipulated by negative ET energy. And everything now I've been shown is a reversal of what happened at Atlantis. So the earth is shifting back onto her natural axis, and our DNA is going back to the original 13 DNA strands, not 12, 13. And 13 is a very important number. It's a sacred number. They kept telling me about 13 tribes, 13 sacred tribes, 13 sacred geometry, 13 star signs, 13 crystal skulls, 13 basalt statues on Easter Island, 13, 13, 13, 13, 13.
You want to know why? Do you want to know why?
Well, yeah, go on.
The 13 is the goddess. The reversal was removing the mother. The 13 is the goddess. We operate on the sands of time, which means we are time travelers. We are portal jumpers. We are dimension travelers. We are timeline jumpers. That is the 13. The 13 is the goddess. That is why everything is reversed, because the negative ETs wanted this patriarchal, dominating, whatever their whole shenanigans are.
Yeah.
But that's why we're back. And that's why I work with the goddesses, because they impart to me how it should be on Earth and how we created it. How do you think, or how do people think Earth was created? Who has the Stargate? The womb is the Stargate to this planet.
Yeah. Can I just say, what you're saying is just awesome. It's freaking amazing. And will you please speak to women and about reclaiming their power and their sovereignty and their divinity? I also want to say, I've been told over the last couple of days that we are Stargates. We are, which is very new. Yeah, which is very new. I mean, it's new to me. I normally like to take a couple of years to process information. And
we don't have years. We don't. You have days.
Yeah.
You have 2 days.
Well, it's funny you should say that, because I was told about 2 or 3 days ago. But anyway, Erin, darling, please will you speak to women and how we take back our sovereignty and our power, how we step into our own shoes, especially for women that are in abusive relationships or have given away their power to their family who are abusive to them, because sometimes the abusive relationships are not always it's not always a sexual relationship. Sometimes our siblings can be abusive, which you know is very much how my relationship with my sister was, until I just cut her off. I had to cut her off. I didn't have any choice. It was either continue the way I was or walk away. She was not going to change. She was not going to move. Not going to move. So please, will you speak to women, especially women and men, who have given away their power and need to take it back, but also in abusive relationships, whether it's an abusive mum or an abusive husband or an abusive girlfriend, or because women are abusive as well, and also for people who are suicidal at the moment, because I know there's a lot of people who are suicidal, and also people who have issues with alcohol or other addictions. Please, will you speak to that for people listening?
Those are all attachments and entities that are not true to your soul essence. All of that, anything external of self is external of self. It's not true to your soul essence. So this is a loaded question. There's like 3 parts. So what was the first part? Oh, the abuse, speak to women. Okay. So first of all, where we are going, whether you believe, because there's different forms of thought, whether you believe that there's a new Earth and we're leaving this planet for a new one, whether you believe we're staying on this planet and it's being transformed, whether you believe we're going home to our star systems, whatever the belief is, anything on this earth is an attachment. Anything. Our children are attachments. We have got to be able to release all attachments. The only thing that is true to our soul essence is everything encapsulated in our own avatar. Can we defrag the outdated programs? Can we get rid of the implants and the belief systems and the programming that's telling us that we need alcohol in order to be in a group of people, or we need alcohol to wind down from the day or deal with our life, or whatever that program is. Same with suicide. Any thought form that is not coming from our deepest, truest soul essence, from our heart frequency, is a lie. It is a lie. It is a manipulation. It is an infiltration on your sovereignty and your purest soul essence. It's very, very, very hard to break out of. I broke out of it on my own. I'm sorry, let me back that up. I defragged it on my own, but I did not get out of it. I got out of it because I had a multidimensional, I like to call it a slap in the face. I got woken up, I got shooken awake by my higher self or by the highest deities, that I had no choice but to go down this path. But I was at that moment, at that time, I was in a victimization mentality. I was in victim mode because I was a victim my whole life. I was a victim my whole life. But I wrote an article about this in 2016 on my Medium page. It's called The Perpetual Victimization of Victims. Because once you're a victim, the system keeps you in that loop. It's nearly impossible to get out of that loop. In our therapy system, anyone who is a therapist, who is, your general therapist who just teaches out of the book that they were taught, they don't understand the multidimensional aspect. In fact, I had a best girlfriend from all through high school, and then all the way until maybe 5 years ago. When I was purging in 2015, I was like, why does nothing make sense? Before I had my awakening, why does nothing make sense? I hated this job, everything was falling down. And I went to her, I said, I can't quit crying. I'm just purging. She goes, well, you're probably on the spectrum of bipolar and you should probably get on medication. Okay, this is what our therapists do. They don't understand that our souls are so tired and that we are run ragged on this earth, and that once you're a victim, you're completely beat down. It's nearly impossible to get yourself out of a victim mode. And so for me, I think moving forward, it's going to be women like me talking about our experience in that world and in that victimization mode, and helping people through it, because not everyone is going to have this insane, magical, multidimensional, crown chakra opening, like being blown wide open, but I did. And so now with my teachings and based on the process that I went through, I can now help others go through that, because it's really hard to get yourself out of that. I've been on all sides of the system. I've been down in the dumps. I've been on, and it's really hard to pick yourself up. And I've also, anyway, that's just a whole side topic. But so for women specifically, I think what helps. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, maybe we could delve into that more next time.
Yeah, absolutely. But people have got, okay, this is the number one thing. People have to take back their sovereignty. There is nothing outside of you, nothing. You are your commodity. You are your essence. Anything trying to siphon your soul essence from you, whether that's an abusive relationship, whether that's a coworker that doesn't want to leave you alone, whether that's a friend that won't give you your space, whatever that looks like, you have to manage your own energies first and foremost. And you have got to declare your sovereignty. That is the first step in detoxing from the matrix, in detoxing from abusive relationships, in anything. You have to know that you are it.
Erin, that's so important. I mean, I think that's crucial. It's critical. Even I had to, you know, given all my spiritual experiences, and I've had a lot since I was a child. You know, I'm awake, I'm aware, and I'm conscious. Even I had to, a couple of months ago, I had to physically actually reclaim my sovereignty. I had to sit down and write out word for word on paper what it means to me. I had to reclaim it because I was getting so targeted that I had to reclaim my power and my divinity and my sovereignty to source, to the light, because I was really in a very dark space and I felt that they were really trying to get me to work for them.
Yep.
And I thought, I have to do something. I have to do something. So my case is like, I've always gone to the extreme. I've always gone to the extreme and jumped in at the deep end. I'm not a shallow. I don't dip my foot in. I'm right at the fucking deep end. And I'm a bit of an extremist because when I do things, I really do it, you know. So, which is one of the reasons I don't really drink alcohol anymore, because I don't know when to say, I don't know when to stop.
Yeah.
You know, whatever it is, I've got a very addictive personality. So when I do things, I really do them. So anyway, sorry, I'm kind of sidetracking there. But so I really had to reclaim my sovereignty. And I had to write it down word for word, what it meant to me. I think it's a very personal, individual thing. It's not one size fits all. And then I printed it off and I signed it. I made it kind of a sacred ceremony. And I think that's really important. I'm sorry, I just wanted to
No,
add
that's amazing. And I think that's very important information. And what I do want to say is we are in such a critical time. I was going to say crucial, but it's not, it's critical. And I cannot say this enough. We are in such a critical time. I have seen sisters of mine, I call them sisters, my galactic sisters. I have seen sisters of mine get infiltrated by the negative ETs and they are gone. So what is happening to the light workers is that we can still get infiltrated if we're not still working on our purification process. I will not get infiltrated. I know this because I am here to lead others with this process. I am a purified vessel. I was told that I'm sealed. So no one is safe in this matrix, in this planet, until we are sealed vessels. Sealed means nothing can infiltrate. Like we are of source, and that is that. We are sealed. Our auras are sealed. What is happening is there's so many light workers and there's so many rabbit holes that if we don't focus on the sovereignty, on the purification, we can get infiltrated by these negative ETs. And especially for channelers, it's really difficult because we are open. We're open and we have relationships with other ETs. But sometimes there's tricks, you know, there's trickeries. They're all over the place. They're on the ground, they come through people, they come through multidimensionally. So I would say right now is critical, especially for light workers, to constantly shield yourself, guard yourself, purify your vessel in every way, especially energetically. And constantly claim sovereignty, constantly, because we are at the dark's last stand right now. They are pulling out all the stops. We aren't even at the US election. So that's next Tuesday. And we have the second full moon on October on Halloween, which is their huge ritual date. And it is the harvest. I call it the harvest. This month is their harvesting. So they are trying to harvest as many souls as they can this month because D-Day is coming. This is critical. So everyone has to only focus on self and getting themselves right and tight. We cannot be worrying about what our mate is doing. You know, children, we can put our children under our own protection bubbles, that's for sure. But our parents, our siblings, whatever else, everybody's soul, it's a free-for-all right now. And we cannot tell people anything. They either have to understand it and do the work themselves, or they're in the harvesting.
Yeah.
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 I was given
what you're saying.
Yeah.
Oh, go on, Erin.
Well, I was told, I mean, this kind of goes back to the clones or the handlers or the non-source players, backdrop people, NPCs. There's a lot of different definitions for these type of people, but they are essentially holograms of the Matrix. Now, some people say 1 in 5,000 people, only 1 out of 5,000 people are source connected, which I consider to be organic, and the rest are inorganic. And if you're inorganic, you don't connect to source, therefore you are subject to and infiltrated with whatever programs are within the Matrix. Look at all of our professional sports. Look at people at the top of the music industry. Look at people at the top of the Hollywood industry. These people are mouthpieces for the Matrix, period. End of story.
And politicians as well.
Oh, thank you. I mean, yes, we could go on. Politicians, anybody at the top of these corporations, you know, Amazon, you know, all of it, all of it. Anyone who is subscribing to this money system, who values this money system, and uses it as their God, basically, they are in the harvester. They're in a recycling system. They're not sovereign and free. Their souls are not free. That's how I see it.
I know, darling. What I was shown a couple of months ago, I was taken to a very dark place, and I wasn't even here for about 3 days. I was in between being here and being somewhere else. I was in an altered mind state for about 2 or 3 days, and I was in a very dark space. I was really being targeted, and this is just before I did my declaration of sovereignty, and I was taken to the lowest negative energy, and I was being shown the frequency and the darkness that they operate at. I was really being shown it. I was in it. And I was being shown that they only have like 2 or 3, what I would term or label as 2 or 3% God source or light source within them. They've really lost their connection to light source, and they're so far from God and light and love that they may as well not be. They may as well be soulless, because they're so far from it, from where we are, that they don't understand love. Love is not in their frequency, in their energy. They don't understand it. They don't understand compassion. They don't understand humanity. They don't understand humility. They don't understand compassion or love or light or anything to do with the heart energy.
Yeah, those are the clones. So that's like the narcissistic programming, right? So what they showed me, and kind of what I impart from that is, so those people, they're human avatars just like us, but they only have, their programming only allows them to dip into, let's say, the shallow end of a pool of a personality. because they can't access that heart space. So they get stuck in programs like a narcissistic program, which means they just want to control and oppress. There's no heart space. There's no heart, there's no care, there's no compassion, there's no openness to another person and how they're feeling. It's just their own agenda constantly. It's very self-involved. That to me is, you know, that's the clone wars. Those are the clones. Those are the ones that are participating in the mass ritual that is happening around the world today. Those are the ones that don't question the narrative. Those are the ones that are running the fear program, because they just can't tap in to source like the very few can. I was told specific numbers. I don't know if this is accurate. Everybody else has their own numbers, but I was told only 1/3 of humanity can access source. Now, granted, 1/3 of humanity is still really, really programmed. So they're still going to have to defrag their system. But 1/3 can defrag their system to access source. 2/3 cannot. They cannot. They are in the harvester. Their soul is harvested to keep the matrix operating, to feed the ones at the top. And we know how they feed. They feed on, you know, mostly it's energy and loosh with the fear, but also, you know, we all also know the dastardly things that are being done to the children and rituals and, you know, different things. So, yeah.
It's it's 11:15. We've been going for almost 2 hours, and it's just flown by. And I can't wait to have you on again and connect with you. Thank you so much.
Thank
Please,
you so much.
do you have any final positive words for the audience? And also, how can people find you, and what kind of work do you do? What services do you do where people can contact you, and what's your links and your website and your Facebook? I will put all those. I will put all of those on to the YouTube description.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Let's see, parting positive words. I would say my positive words are, do your work. We are at a critical time. We have to be on high alert right now. And the souls who are going to resonate with our talk, those are the ones that, you know, are on this trajectory that we're going to. So we are raising our vibration, we're increasing frequency, we are turning into these new humans, which are the multidimensional human, or the multidimensional race. Basically, we're going back home. We're going back to love, we're going back to truth. But to do that, we have to get out of this matrix system, because all of these systems are falling, and it's going to look very scary on the outside, but those are on a different trajectory. We already know where we are going or where we want to go. So we have to hold that intention, and we have to do our inner work in order to purify so that we can move forward in what we want to do and what we want to create. And most people, you know, most light workers, we want to create for humanity. You know, we want to create healing centers because we have been through hell. We had to crawl through the Shawshank Redemption tunnel of shit to escape, literally.
I love that, Erin, because
That's what I tell people. Yeah, we crawled through that tunnel of shit. We escaped jail, and we're on our way to, you know, a sandy, beautiful beach somewhere with a, you know, non-alcoholic Mai Tai and whatever.
Yeah.
So
we've escaped abuse, we've escaped rape, we've escaped trauma, we've escaped addiction, we've escaped narcissist abusive relationships, you name it, we've done it. We've been in the shit and we've come out the other side.
Yep. And there was no other way but to go through it, but to just literally crawl through it. I mean, I can't even tell you how many times I've been like on the floor sobbing into the ground, like for years, just to purge the pain out of my body. Like this is not for the weak-minded. This is for the warriors only. This is for the strong warriors only. It's a painful, painful process. And now I'm starting to finally see the rewards. You know, the reward of I am of a clear mind. I am of a clear heart. I don't harbor any trauma any longer. I can see my past and understand my past as the experience I had to go through to get me here, even though it was traumatic. You know, at the time I swore I would make every single person pay, and how dare they, and I can't believe it. And, you know, you have to work through all of that. So to get to this part where I'm like at peace and I can move forward in service now to the rest of humanity is such a huge blessing, because I never thought I would get here. From where I started, and you probably feel the same, from where you started to where we are now is an absolute miracle, and has not been done in one transformative lifetime before. We would have to recycle back and take baby steps every single stupid lifetime. And then of course that adds more trauma and more this and more that, you know. So
sometimes I have to pinch myself, because I really, you know, I was born into what I describe as hell.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
And I've come out the other side, but it's taken a number of years for me to get there. You know, it's wading through the shit and the layers of the onion. And I have to pinch myself sometimes, because I can't believe the beautiful space I'm in. And I still have issues. I've still got things that I need to work on and clear and shift. But I'm so far from where I used to be. I have to pinch myself. And it's not even a physical space. It's a mental, emotional space. I'm in a different reality. I'm in a different world.
Yeah. It's clarity
from where I used to be.
Yeah, it's clarity. I feel like it's clarity. I don't have any voices in my head that say, you should be doing this, you should be doing that, you have to do this. There's nothing in my head. I'm just me all the time now, you know, and it's a privilege. I find it a huge privilege, but that is the end goal of this entire gory process. And I have made it. Like, I feel like I'm at the finish line. Of course, there's more to this story, you know, but I made it. I crossed one finish line. Let's just say that, you know, and I'm so thankful for that. And, you know, I've been told by my guides, you were chosen. You need to be grateful for where you are. Now, they, you know, told me this long ago when I was still in my trauma and my drama. And I'm like, but my life is so shitty and everything's crap. And how am I supposed to be thankful when it's shit, you know? But they drilled that into me. And now it's like, okay, I've shifted all of that. And now I'm like, wow, this is what this is. This is miraculous. And I'm so grateful that now I can turn around and assist other people who are going through this process, because it's major. This is major.
That's the best feeling in the world, to go through the shit that we've had to, and to get to the other side. And I really want you know, please could you address people listening that are in the shit, that don't, like we were once, where they don't see a way out. I mean, I was literally 5 minutes away from committing suicide at the age of 12. I've also had my issues with addiction as well. And so please speak to people who are in it and they don't see a way out, because you've been there. I've been there.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's so hard. It's so hard to speak to that, because I understand when you're in it, you can't see. That's the trap. It's the trap. When you're in it, you can't see a way out. That's the trap. So if you're going through it, just keep going. just keep going, because soon it will be behind you. And where we are going is forward. We are not, it's like what you told me during our talk. It's the shedding of the snake skin. The snake always moves forward and leaves the skin behind. And this is where the detachment comes in. If my ego would have simply detached from what I was going through, I would have skated through, no problem. But I was an attacher. I attached to everything. You know, I attached to ideas about I shouldn't be getting divorced because people don't get divorced or whatever. I don't want to be one of the 60% that gets divorced. I didn't go into a marriage to get divorced, you know, yada, yada, yada. All the talk, all the bullshit. Listen, everyone must do for themselves at this time to make themselves healthy and happy. We have to be in a cocoon of our own energy in order to grow and light up our own energy. We cannot help anyone if we are not healed. So if you're going through this shit, keep going and just focus on you. Do not put any energy external, because everybody has to do their own work right now. We can't do it for anybody. And a lot of people aren't going to make it, frankly. A lot of people are not going to make it. They don't have the wherewithal to do this kind of hard work. But it is doable, and you can come out the other side, because I've been both. And here we are. And now we can all do it together.
Thank you, Erin. That was really beautiful. And I'm just blessed that you said yes to doing this interview. So thank you so much. I'm just thrilled. Yeah. So how can people find you?
Well, I want to say thank you for having me on. This is my first podcast and my first live. So this is really, for me, I do feel ready, but I've been on the background. So this kind of forced me in to do this. So I appreciate you for bringing me out of my shell. And so I can be found at Elm Awakening. So I have a Facebook page called Elm Awakening. I just started a Patreon account. I just got my very first few Patreons where I'm going to be releasing my channeled content. And there are tiers of channeled content, because some is really high level mission specific. So if anyone would love to support me and my mission and my work, I would love support at Patreon, because I'm still in transition, and I just moved to a new state, and I'm staying at a friend's house and really trying to get my feet under me. So any support would be amazing. You can find my writings. I've got a lot of channeled writings on my personal Facebook, which is Erin Elm, but also on my Elm Awakening Facebook, and I'm also on Instagram. I have one video on YouTube, which is Elm Awakening. So everything's Elm Awakening. That's where you can find me. I do healing sessions. Mostly I am a writer, and I want to bring forth my channeled content and then do more videos and more podcasts, because I think where I can be most effective is reaching people through writing and through speaking. But I do also do healing sessions, which are more of like journeys. So each one is individual. Everybody always gets what they need. And I work with crystals a lot as well. I work with crystals. I work with color frequency, sound frequency, number frequency. And I bring all of that into my healing. So
yeah, I mean, my healing, when I do healing, I haven't done healing for a number of years, actually, since I left Ireland. So I haven't done any healing work for about 5 years, because I'm just not meant to at the moment, you know. But when I did do healing work, I trained in a number of different disciples, like shamanic practitioner and Reiki and blah, 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 blah. And I used to, and we were talking about this the other day, and the reason I'm mentioning it is because I didn't have one way that I used to do healing. I would incorporate everything. So I would go in with the person who's come to me for healing, and I would simply open up, and I would channel whoever in love and light, and whatever in love and light needed to come through. And I would listen to my guides or their guides or Jesus or the Pleiadians, whoever, and I would use whatever tools, whether it was cards or crystals or color or sound or whatever it was. Sometimes nothing, sometimes just my hands. And I was basically taking instruction on what the person needed, what the problem was and what the person needed. And am I right in saying that you work in a similar way, where you are working, you're channeling, but it's for healing?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's mostly how I work. I can also scan avatars. I've scanned bodies, and I can see where there's blockages or implants in people's system, and I can get rid of those for people. Something really cool that's just started to happen is I can transfer files to people, to galactics. So I do want to say that my healing work is for the Galactic Collective. This is not for the others. You know, people have to have a specific resonance in order for our energetics to work together. That's for certain.
Yeah. So anyone who's awake and aware and conscious, and anyone who's a starseed, anyone who's a psychic or a medium or is a black sheep or is outside of the box, you know, doesn't feel like they fit in because they don't fit in. Anyone who's a bit different, anyone who's struggling to fit in, anyone who is different.
Yes, that's exactly it. And I activate people. I'm a StarSeed activator, so I activate the queens. I call myself a queen, and I've described why I say that on my other YouTube. Yeah. But a queen simply means that I am a purified vessel. I am masculine and feminine merged. I am the Hieros Gamos. I am, right? I am the I am. I am the source. I am the Sophia Christos. So that is housed, that's the energy that I hold. So that being said, I can also transfer files to people because I access it's kind of like the Emerald tablets, right? It's the knowledge base. It's the halls of Amenti. It's the library of the all. And I can transfer files to people that need specific information downloaded into their brain. Energetically, everything's energetic. Yeah, I activate the queens. So the up and coming queens who hold the template, who hold the twin flame template and the Hieros Gamos, I activate them. It's a lot of
session with you.
What's that?
I'd love to get a session with you. It sounds really
absolutely.
Yeah.
Be honored. Yeah. So there's a lot that I do that I haven't understood how to put a word or a term or a name to it, because it is the new. We're building the new. This is the new earth. This is how we're going to be operating moving forward as we leave the matrix behind and these old structures behind. So yeah, it's always unfolding as well. The file transfer, that was a new one for me. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. I'd really like. Go on.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go on.
Oh, so when I woke up, so the bathtub wake up, you know, my big thing, they actually imparted I actually hold technology. So they imparted technology in me, and it's called a clean and clear. So that's what people need to focus on, is cleaning and clearing their avatar in all ways. And it starts energetically. And so there are specific people like me. We hold galactic technology and we're anchoring it here on Earth so that we can help humanity move forward, basically move forward away from the lower density and go towards love, the frequency of love.
You have no idea how inspiring you are and motivational, and I totally resonate with you, totally get what you're saying, and I see you as being, I feel you as being on a much higher frequency that I don't want to sound egotistical, but I feel like it matches my own, and it's quite
Mhm.
rare. It's a
Yeah, it is.
rare, it's a rare gem.
Very rare.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we are. And it's silly to put words to it. It's silly to say out loud because we live in an egotistical world. So people's egos are going to get triggered. But we are at a different, I know for a fact what level I'm at. And it's a very different level than most. And it's not ego, it's a knowing. It's my initiation process. You know, it is my mission. It's my mission. And it has nothing to do with people's feelings. It has nothing to do with people's egos. And if anybody gets triggered by it, that is your signal that you have work to do. If you can't handle somebody speaking their truth and you've got to have a whole reaction around it, that's none of my business. That is strictly your business and for you to deal with. I don't have to deal with it because I dealt with all my triggers already.
Yeah.
That's the dark goddess. The dark goddess is like, listen, that's not my shit. Go figure out your shit. I will be here. I will encapsulate you in love. But until you incinerate your own shit, I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck about your feelings. Like, you need to go like work your shit out. And that's when I get real fierce in my goddess too. And that's part of my process. I didn't get fierce with much here today, except now, but that's part of it. The dark goddess, they take no shit. They don't deal with anybody's shit. It's like, pull your pants up, by your bootstraps, or whatever that saying is, and deal with your shit. Because we're not playing in the shallow end. We are in the fucking deep end. And if you want to swim to the next level, then you need to start doggy paddling.
Yeah.
We can maybe throw you a buoy here and there, but it's not our job. It's your job to work on your own shit. But at the same token, we're so entrapped here. We're trapped under our own programming. So that's another thing is through my words, I incinerate programs. Through my direct truth, through me telling, looking in the camera and saying, deal with your own fucking shit. That is a transmission. That is, you have got to take accountability. You have to.
We have to face our own shit, our own demons,
We have to.
And I've got the uttermost respect for you because I know I can feel that you've done it. You've been in the shit. Not just
I was drowning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not just knee high, but head high. And
Yeah.
I've been there too. And I would say for people that don't get it, what you're saying, is I would say to them, take back your power.
Exactly. Exactly.
Stop looking at the bullshit and the media and, oh, she's doing this or he's doing that, or they said this or they said that, or jealousy and ego and lower mind and the bullshit voice that says, I'm not worthy, I can't do this. And take back your power, because the time we're in is critical. It's crucial. We've got a window of opportunity, and I do see a positive outcome, but we need to step up to the plate. We need to stop the bullshit. We need to strip back the carpet and look at everything that we have accumulated under layers and layers and layers of lies and bullshit that the media, the big pharma, the politicians, the police, the lawyers, the doctors, the teachers, the educators have been feeding us for years and years and years, since the time of Atlantis. And I'm sure I'm missing a lot of things there, but they do not have our best interests at heart. They do not give a fuck about us. And no. I'm not even going to apologize for my language. We need to come out of the caves and stop being love and light. We need to fully embrace love and light, and we need to fully embrace our warrior energy, which sometimes will swear, we need all our energy, all of it, to bring forth to raise the awareness of humanity. And I'm going to end there because I could just talk to you for hours, Erin.
I know. Another good topic for later is righteous fury, because anger is very important, and anger can be directed as righteous fury. And that's a tone that I take a lot. You know, I also incinerate programs. I can incinerate parasites just by speaking, because I can recognize them and I don't deal with it, you know, and that's righteous fury. If I get angry, that's my shit. Yep. It's the warrior. Absolutely.
And not
yeah. And I will, and I'll take down anyone who tries to come at me, because I've had to fight tooth and nail to get here. So if some silly parasite thinks that they're going to come disturb my little bubble.
Uh-oh.
I mean, I can't, there's just no words. There's literally no words. Like, I eat egos for breakfast. If you want to come at me with your ego, you better back it the fuck up with your entire artillery. One simply does not come for a goddess with their ego and their feelings and their bullshit. Go over there, do your work. You come at me accordingly. You come at me with your truth so we can have a conversation. That's how that goes. That's that warrior goddess. Like, we don't fuck around with bullshit anymore. Anybody who comes at me with an ego, with their whatever, I give zero fucks about that. There's not one fuck I could find on this earth to give about somebody's poor little fucking ego. Boy, when that goddess comes out, she'll incinerate the fuck out of anything. Anyway, so yeah. So there's all different sides. That's why they call it the dark goddess, because she comes at you. But she loves you. She loves you fully, but she loves your soul essence. She doesn't give a fuck about your ego. She doesn't give a fuck about your bullshit. You know, don't bring that here. We are purified. We do not accept that any longer for ourselves. We are done. We're over it. We're done. We don't do narcissistic behavior. We don't do anything except open-hearted king energy, that divine masculine energy. That's what a queen is here for. That's that.
You are a goddess. You truly are a goddess.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I've made a list of, because I've got a terrible memory, I've made a list of things for next time. And I'm sure there'll be a lot more as well. But for now, all my love. And I wish you 1,000 blessings, as they say in Ireland. And all my love, darling.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Until next time.
Until next time.